it anymore. But again, come back to the point that if you happen to be born, not just being born in a Muslim country, but let's suppose you're born in the UK, but you're born to a Muslim family, you know, up until the age of, I don't know, 13 or 14 or something, you're probably going to be a Muslim. And so the assimilation of that, the ability to assimilate that, is an important step. Whatever you want to call, however you want to describe it.
It's an extremely fine line, though, because at what point does, you know, the assimilation of two cultures and like working together turn into one culture taking over another?
No. Well, that's the replacement theory, which it's just impossible. Alan, if you go back in time, you'll find that the UK or England was invaded by the Normans. Prior to that, it was invaded by the Romans. You know, where is this? We don't see an invasion of Muslims in the UK. It's no invasion.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about just like a general population shifts. I'm not talking about like replacements. I'm just talking about as more people come in, right? And like in the United States.
We're short of labor anyway, so let them come in. Yeah.
Right.
Because
and
business is suffering because we haven't got enough
people come and help, and the economy benefits from that, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, like what we see in the United States a lot, Latino families and a lot of immigrant families have a lot of children, and white families have statistically less children than everyone else. And that's not to say that I think all families should be equal and all cultures should have the same amount of people. It's just I don't think great replacement's the way to put it. It's eventually you'll see cultures shift and just change into completely different things instead of a combination of the two.
But I don't see that as a problem. That's my point.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't worry me personally, but you know, I accept that it worries other people, and I think we should respect their opinions. But you know, from my point of view, diversity is a good thing. As I say, that view should be respected, but so should their views. But people shouldn't be, in a democracy, people shouldn't be allowed to impose their opinions on minorities, right? That doesn't exist in democracy, where we say this is a Christian country, therefore you've all got to be Christian, or this is a, you know, it's like my criticism of Trumpism is the idea that if you get 50-something% of the vote, suddenly you can impose your will on a whole load of people. I don't accept that, whether it's Biden or Trump.
But that is a flaw. That is a flaw of a so-called representative democracy, being representative or democratic. Which, I mean, if that's the bar for democracy, I think, you know, we have a potential for improvement. That is, like, you know.
Yeah, no,
we can't fail making it better than this, right? Like, so I think it's more an issue of that, how we have, for example, authority concentrated in a manner where we basically have one vote every 4 years for you know, be it the US with two parties or coalition parties, where here in Norway, right? Like, the thing is that you have one vote. You may care for 1, 2, top 3 policies maybe, but you know, you still have to put that one vote you have every 4 years for this political party that has a plethora of things. You know, and here there could be quite a lot of agreements with, for example, Democrats and Republicans on the political issues themselves, but the partisanship kind of messes this all up. And you know, it's no better here in Norway having more parties, because since they do go into coalition movements, what happens then? Well, then your vote is not only split on one party, it's split on several parties who make their own internal votes within the parliament that are kind of devoid from you anyways. And yeah, so like we call this democracy. Well, okay, if that is the bar for democracy, there's no wonder that, you know, people like Scott Ritter says that Russia is actually, you know, pretty much just as much of a democracy as we are, all things considered. You know, you may not think it, so you may think that Putin is a dictator, but he's not operating. He's clearly not operating in a manner that he just uses brute force, and he has like a sort of, he's not like Stalin in any way.
No, you see that exactly reflected in the mobilization. He waited way too long for this mobilization because the people of Russia did not want it. He only acted on it when the people of Russia demanded it. They called for blood and was like, well, now what?